computer. Okay. So I've known Alan for many, many years, and we have actually done some stuff. He's been in the whole business group presenting already. And in fact, when he presented that time, he actually gained a customer out of that. You remember the fitness guy? Um,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
there
That's
you
I
go.
didn't realize that that's where he was from. It's been so
Yeah,
long.
yeah,
Wow.
that's where he came from. But I'm going to let Alan introduce himself to you. So, Alan, take it away, introduce yourself, and then start the presentation.
So my name's Alan, and basically I'm an SEO specialist. I started SEO when it didn't exist, so I was one of the pioneers of the industry, and that was back in 1998. So Google was just starting as well, and I basically, you know, did SEO and thought it was like trivial, and I would just keep on getting sites ranked at the top of the search engines. And I noticed when social media became a thing in 2008, that the same tactics that I used for SEO worked for social media. And then when YouTube became like more and more prominent, I used my SEO skills to kind of like do things on YouTube. So I always found like SEO is a good base for marketing of pretty much anything. And the funny way that I got into YouTube, though, on a personal level, was I needed because I work like if Dave would kind of testify to this. I work really crazy hours. I work really long hours. So I kind of wanted to have something that was just kind of creative and just sort of fun, a fun hobby, a fun hobby thing, not like work related. So I decided to start a YouTube channel just as a hobby. Uh, and I collect comic books, so I'm kind of a geek. And I created a comic book channel. Uh, that was back in 2020, but I really didn't get started with it until 2021. And basically, it's since then it's won several awards, YouTube awards, and I basically took it from just like, me showing a bunch of comics, being a total geek, to a channel that has about 5,000, almost 6,000 subscribers. And it's gotten over 1 million views. And I posted out like lots of videos, like over 1,000 videos. So there's a lot of videos there. And I decided, hey, like to make money off of it to a certain extent. And basically, I don't like selling my own comics because I kind of treat them like my babies. But I had a friend who had, was a dealer and he had some pretty cool comics related to my channel. And within 3 months, he made enough money to buy a Lamborghini. And that was from doing one show per month for 1 hour. We sold them. It was, so I'm going to show you how you can kind of do the same thing, take something that's really just a hobby and make it into a real business. So the channel actually makes anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000 a month, just as a hobby. I'm not even trying to make it into. I'm really not trying to make it into a business, but it's one of those things. Um, what I always tell people about YouTube is that YouTube is one of those places where uh, if you do networking events, you probably can relate to this. That when you go to a networking event and you meet people for the very first time, they kind of like, oh, okay. They kind of know who you are, but not really. Like, and then you meet them for the second time. They're like, maybe they'll know your name by that point, maybe. Then you meet them the third time, and then they'll know your name and kind of know what you do. The fourth time, they're like, oh, hey, Alan, how is that? And like, it's more like they recognize you and you kind of get to know them. Well, YouTube is kind of the same thing. The more time people watch your videos, even if you've never engaged with them personally, they actually feel like they know you and they actually trust you. Um, so I'm always surprised by that element to YouTube. And that's why, as I said, like when I started to sell a few comics through my channel, the like people were literally buying $100,000 comics through the channel based on just trusting me and my opinion about those comics. So that's the kind of influence you can have just by, you know, creating something where it's a regular show that they watch and they feel like they can trust you as somebody that they watch all the time, and they feel like they know you as a person. Um, so I'm gonna kind of share my screen a little bit here. One sec here, and actually do this properly. One sec here. Yeah, there we go. How does this work? It's a little different than, it's kind of doing something weird here.
So
Um,
you found it at the bottom. Maybe go where there's more.
oh yeah. No, it was just slow. It was for some reason because it's kind of lagging. Um, okay, so this is my very raw. I'm not, one thing I'm not good at is PowerPoint presentations, just so you know. Um, can you see my screen?
I think it's coming up slowly.
Yeah, it's really lagging for some reason. One second, are you guys still there?
We're here. The screen hasn't come on from my side as yet.
It sort of crashed when I tried
It
to do
said something.
that.
There's a
Okay,
little
it looks like
note
it's
here
sharing now.
says, "Oh, there it is. There it is."
Okay, so basically I'm going to show you how to use YouTube for business. Uh, Here's a little bit about, wow, it is just really lagging. I'm not sure why. This is the problem. Like I have 3 or 4 applications that are all like for video and for like like doing like you know, Skype, WhatsApp, you know, or Zoom, yeah, Teams, I guess now it's called. But you know, so it's like they all conflict with each other. Okay, one
Hmm.
sec here. Um, they're all fighting in the background here. Okay, hopefully it's just grinding. So I'm going to basically show you how to use YouTube for business. How many people here have a YouTube channel? Okay, so and so yeah, so this is a little bit about me. Um, Basically, I'm going to show you guys what you need to do when you first start a channel. The cool thing about YouTube is you can create more than one channel. Like you can do like 20 different channels if you want. I have a few channels as well. Um, The big thing though, when people get started, uh, there's a few things that end up killing their business right off the bat. One is they come up with the idea that they want to start a YouTube channel, and then they don't know how to create content. Like they find content creation hard. I'm going to give you a few tricks to kind of get around that, that you can sort of always feel like you have content and never have to worry about coming up with new ideas. Because that's usually what kills YouTube channels. Like even when they're very successful, like a lot of the YouTubers will like get kind of like writer's block kind of situation where they can't think of like something new to create. Um, I'm going to give you a method where you don't have to worry about that. Like I've literally created over 1,000 videos on my channel, and I never have to come up with an idea for each video. It's not like I have to come up, oh, what's my video today? I don't, you know, I can always have a video idea where it's, um, are you guys familiar with how sitcoms work? A sitcom is like basically a TV show like Friends or Seinfeld or whatever, where basically it's the same show just retold every time. It's like a, you know, they keep kind of rinse and repeat, right?
Hmm.
Well, if you kind of take that kind of method and use it for your YouTube, you can always have a YouTube idea. And I'll show you different ways to achieve that. But really, all you need to get started on YouTube is what I recommend is find a room in your house where you can create your little studio. And what I mean by that is like a room where there's a good wall, good lighting, and then get your iPhone or whatever smartphone you have, and use that as your video production thing. I record all my videos through my iPhone. On iPhones, there's like CapCut, there's iMovie, there's like every editing tool you need. And the quality on the videos, right? Like the quality on the iPhone is so good that you actually don't need a professional camera anymore. You don't need anything for YouTube videos because you can do 4K quality on an iPhone. And actually, their internal mic is so good that it can, pick up people's voices quite well. Even my voice, which my voice is not necessarily the best for YouTube video creation because it's not the strongest voice. But with the iPhone, it does a good job. So you really can keep it simple, is my point. Just find a place where you can kind of set up, put your phone up, and press record, and really keep it that simple. If you want to do a bit of video editing, that always can help and will get you better results. So I'm trying to keep it simple because what usually makes channels fail is they make it too complicated. They feel like they have to do a whole production, and when you do a whole production, that is very like it creates a barrier to entry for creating videos. You want to make it as low level and easy to create videos as possible, because one of the things that will make your channel successful or fail is the video creation. So one of the things that happens is people they spend a lot of time on their very first video. They get all excited about it. They spend hours and hours like filming, getting all the lighting right, editing, and doing all that stuff. They put the video out onto YouTube. They get really excited. They put it up on YouTube, and the very first thing that happens is nothing. The very first thing that happens is nothing. They get 0 views. It's like, well, that was a waste. I guess I'm not a YouTuber. And then they leave. That's 90% of people's journey on YouTube is that experience where they do all this stuff. And what I just described is totally the wrong way of doing it. What you have to do is whenever you start a new channel, what you do is actually create 10 videos. Create 10 videos. You schedule like let's say you get all your videos ready. You're going to start your YouTube channel. You started on a Wednesday. Well, what you do is you schedule your very first video not to go out on Wednesday, but to go out on that first Friday. And then you schedule each video to go out a week later. Okay. So in theory, you now have 2.5 months of videos that you've got planned. Now, I'll explain how that affects the algorithm because I'm an SEO guy. I think of algorithms. Well, YouTube, when you post your video, it takes 24 hours for it to process that video. So it takes 24 hours for YouTube to understand what your video is about and to know who to show that video to. Okay. So if you create a video and post it and immediately make it go live, YouTube has no idea who to show that video to, and it will show it to nobody because it doesn't know who to show it to. But if you give it that time, and that's why I say give it actually an extra day, give it lots of time. Schedule out your videos and give it that extra time. What it'll do is it'll find a test audience. And it's going to test you. It's going to say, are you actually a good YouTuber? Like, are you making videos that people actually want to watch? And what it'll do is it'll find a test audience based on what your video is about. Okay. And it actually goes through multiple test audiences. And each time you pass through one test audience and they watch it and how long they watch it and all that kind of stuff, then they'll send it to another test audience. And then they repeat that experiment. And each time it's a slightly bigger test audience. And if you can make it like through 3 or 4 test audiences, you're actually considered a viral video and you're probably getting 1 million views. So that's the journey. Most people only never get to that for even the first test audience because they post their videos too quickly. But the other thing that happens with this idea of posting 10 videos rather than 1 is what ends up happening is YouTube wants to find people that are committed to YouTube, right? They want to find people that are going to be the next big creator. Um, so what they want to do is they want to find channels that are going to be committed. So if you post out consistently week after week, then YouTube actually knows that you're going to, be there in the future, and it will actually, find you an audience consistently. Okay. The other thing is, this is kind of dating myself a bit, but if you remember the TV guide, how do people used to watch TV? They would go to the TV guide and like, oh, Thursday night, that's the big sweeps night. That was the big night. I don't know why Thursday. It was always Thursday. It was sort of the big night for TV. And and people would always go to the TV guide, look up when those videos or TV shows would show, and they'd get all excited, ready for Thursday night. Well, the funny thing is, if the same thing actually happens on YouTube. So when you schedule things out, people on YouTube actually kind of expect your video. So they actually will prepare mentally to see your video. Okay. So I find with my audience now, because I've been on YouTube for enough years, they'll actually brag who can get to watch the video first. They know it's going to drop at a certain time, and they'll actually comment, "I was first, aha!" I know that they get excited. Because they know what to expect, when to expect it, and they get excited. So your audience really does grow from that. The big thing that people always ask is, what is a viral video? And this image doesn't look like much, but this is the very first viral video. This cat playing the piano was actually the very first viral video. It was huge back in the day. This little cat playing the piano, and it was a very popular video. I'm actually going to redefine what viral means. A lot of people think that you have to get millions of views to be successful. That is not the case. Okay? That is totally not the case. What you need is generally, if you have a channel and you have 1,000 subscribers, okay, your typical video is going to get about 100 views based on that subscriber amount. So usually 1/10 of whatever your subscribers are is how many your average video will get. Okay. Now, what I consider a viral video is when you punch above that number. So like if you have 1,000 subscribers and you get 1,000 views on a video, that to me is a successful video and a viral video. The reason being is if you can repeat that process where you get 1,000 views when you only have 1,000 subscribers, what'll happen is your natural subscribers will actually kind of shift up so that it goes back to that 1/10 percentage thing. So if you get 1,000 views per video, you'll end up with a subscriber count of about 10,000. It always it just sort of gravitates that way. It's just one of these weird things that happens on YouTube, and it consistently happens. I've seen it across hundreds of channels. So where if you get if you get 1/10, that's normal for your views. If you get above that, then you've gone slightly viral. If you get to your actual subscriber amount or more, then you've gone viral, and you will actually grow your channel. Your channel will grow quite significantly at that point. What you'll find is actually if you can create a viral video and then post another video right after, and it goes viral, you get the double viral effect. Your channel will go really, really fast. Really fast. So the goal is to always create viral videos, and I'll show you some tricks on how to do that. Okay, so one of the things is people always ask, how do you get to your first 1,000 subscribers? Now, you're probably wondering why 1,000 is an important number. 1,000 is where you traditionally get monetized by YouTube. So once you get to 1,000 subscribers, you actually can get monetized slightly at 500, but 1,000 is typically where you get full monetization for your YouTube channel. Okay. And you're probably wondering, how do you get 1,000 people to watch your videos? YouTube will find an audience for you, but there's tricks. There's tricks to getting 1,000 subscribers without having to know 1,000 friends to come and watch your channel. Okay. One of the things that I did early on was I realized that there was like, I'm in a really small niche with my comic book thing. My niche is comic books, right? Which is a really small niche. But then within that small niche, I'm even more niched. I only look at really golden age comics, which are older comics. And within the hobby, that's like a really small number of people. Okay. It's like a really small group. So what I noticed was that, there was only a really small audience for that. How do I get to a bigger audience? Um, One of the tricks that I learned is this, that what you do is it's much easier to know 5 people than it is to know 1,000 people. And what I mean by that is what you do is you find people that are in your like whatever it is, whatever field you are doing or whatever target audience you're going for, you find influencers in that audience, in that group. So, for example, it's easy to find 5 to 10 channels that are also, for example, talking about comic books. For me, like this, doing the same stuff that I'm talking about, they're talking about comic books. If I can find 5 to 10 channels, they're all talking about comic books. That's pretty easy to make friends with those 5 to 10 people. Okay. Now, what you do is you have an established, you make sure that your content is consistent, that you're putting out content. And then what you do is you reach out to those other channels and you say, hey, would you like to come on my channel? I'd love to interview you. I think you do a really good job of, what you're doing. Come on my channel. I'll interview you. Okay. Now, YouTubers are not like Hollywood celebrities for the most part. For the most part, some of them are crazy, but for the most part, their egos are not quite that inflated. Okay, so if you reach out to a channel and they have like 1,000 subscribers or 100,000 subscribers, they are for the most part just regular people, like pretty low ego, which is a nice thing because they'll actually respond to you. They'll actually say, oh, they'll actually be flattered by you reaching out to them. Okay. So what ends up happening is this. They are so flattered that you asked for them to come onto your channel. They will say, hey, subscribers on their channel, I'm going to be appearing on this other guy's channel. And you'll get a percentage of their subscribers coming over to watch your videos. Okay. And sometimes they will return the favor and actually bring you onto their channel. And that's what happened in my case. That's how I built my first 1,000 subscribers. I went on about 6 channels. And after kind of networking that way, I had 1,000 subscribers. So what it was is it's so much easier to know, as I said, 5 people, 10 people that you can connect with, engage with, and basically, flatter them by saying, hey, come on my channel, or making that exchange. They'll bring you onto their channel, you go, or you bring them onto your channel, and you'll get a percentage of their subscribers. You do that with enough channels, and you can build your audience pretty easily. As I said, it's much easier to know a small group of people that are influencers than it is to know 1,000 regular people that are, to get them to subscribe. So generally, that's one of the easiest tricks that I found. Another trick where you can go to that higher level of viralness or big channel thing is one of the ways. Do you guys remember Gangnam Style? that viral video way back when. It was like 1 billion views. Now I think it's like several billion. Well, that video, you can actually leverage that video, or like people did at the time. You can leverage that video where you can basically create a response video. Okay. So what you do, this is the other method that you can build your subscribers really, really fast. Is what you do is you respond to some much bigger channel, like some really, really big channel, respond to their video. So what happened was when Gangnam Style went out, as I said, it got like 1 billion views. Well, people did kind of parody videos of it. They did grandpa style. They did baby style. They did, mama style. They did all these different styles. And what would happen is when people would watch that Gangnam Style video, there's always the videos on the side that YouTube suggests, hey, you might also like these videos. And then you see, oh, baby style, that sounds kind of funny. And people would go over and click that. Well, those videos got around anywhere from 100 million to 500 million views. Okay. Just because they leveraged the success of a big video. Okay. Now, like what I'm talking about can work for any industry. That's the SEO of me talking. It's just a keyword. It's just a different theme. It's just a different topic. You can just switch it out. Find channels that kind of relate, rinse and repeat. It can be, the same ideas can work for anything. Okay. But so the point is find the influencers, create response videos. Your video will show up. When their popular video shows up, your video will be one of the ones that YouTube recommends. Okay. And that's easy way to get a whole bunch of views, a whole bunch of new subscribers. Now, one of the mistakes that people make, I always recommend keep things positive. Always be really, really positive. The mistake people do is they try to do a reaction video or response video where it's very negative, like where it's like, oh, this guy's totally wrong, blah, blah, blah. They try to cut down people, and that will, that works to get lots of views sometimes, but it's not a good place to be if you're trying to do this for business. You want to keep things positive because you want to have like that kind of positive influence within your business, right? So I know lots of YouTube channels on within my comic book community where they're very negative. They're very negative, like, oh, the hobby's dead. Oh, comics are worthless. Oh, something very negative. They get lots of views. But the type of people that watch those videos or engage with that YouTuber are usually pretty negative too. And those people aren't really good for business. Whereas with me, what I try to do is I always tell people that my YouTube channel is my oasis. It's my my beautiful place where I can just relax, be myself, be a little geeky, and just enjoy. Okay. And what happens is it brings down their barriers and it makes them respond the same way, where they're kind of positive and wanting to engage. That's why when we did these claim sales, people were very excited. They were very excited to be buying because they had such a positive experience about the comics. They were excited about them. So that's why it was very successful. So I always recommend, if you're going to do a response video, keep it positive, keep it fun, keep it light, just as a just a personal thing. So here's a couple things that I kind of suggested already. Three tips to go viral. Set up your videos for success. So when and I usually, that one little point, I usually do like an hour where I explain and break that down. But really, when you set up your videos, as I said, schedule them 2 days from when you upload them, 2 days away. Just give them that little bit of time for processing. Also, when you create your title, here's the big thing. And and I've done this experiment many, many times. Uh, the two things that make your video get clicks or not clicks is the thumbnail and the title. Okay, it's like a book, right? If you see a book and it's just like a brown cover with some text on it that says like War and Peace, people are not going to open that book. They're not going to be excited about it. But if it's a pretty cover that's really stands out, that engages people, they're more likely to pick up that book and be like, oh, I'll check this out. So your thumbnail and your title really, really make a difference. So what you got to do is use the following trick. What I do is I come up with a boring title. A boring title. I'm going to be unboxing some comics. Really boring. I take that title, I throw it into ChatGPT, and I say, hey, ChatGPT, give me a viral video title using my boring title. And then what it does is it'll come up with about 10 different titles that I could use. And I say, well, and then I go through them and I say, which of these titles would I click? And if I don't like those ones, I say, hey, generate 10 more. And it'll generate 10 more. So the thing is, ChatGPT, I find, is really good at creating cool titles. And when I tried this trick, like just using like a viral video title versus a non-viral video title, it got about 10 times the number of clicks. So 10 times the number of clicks, okay? So definitely try that. Now the thumbnail thing. Now, if you look at my channel, it's actually kind of embarrassing. My thumbnails are actually pretty terrible. But I have a friend, and we started at the same time. And we both are kind of talking about similar stuff within comics. His channel actually grew faster than mine because he did the following. And this is a trick, you know, I'm not as sexist as the trick sounds like I am, but what it is this. What his thumbnails, if you watch his videos, it's just his hands and he's like doing stuff with comics. He's just like, you just see his hands, but his thumbnails are a pretty girl, usually a bit sexy, and then some comics, okay? And that's his thumbnail. And because people see the pretty girl on the thumbnail, they click it. They click that video. Usually if there's a pretty girl on a thumbnail, it gets 10 times more clicks than just a regular boring thumbnail. Women get more clicks than men. Women are just more interesting for everybody than men are. So women on the thumbnail gets more clicks. It's one of the facts of YouTube. Um, so those are some of the things where you want to set up your YouTube video for success by creating great thumbnail, creating great title. Another thing is you can optimize the description of it. You can put in the keywords within the description. You can put links to your business site within the description. This is how you use it for business, right? You want to get business. Well, put in HTTPS:// the full address. Put the full address. If you put the full address into your description, it's a link. If you just put in www whatever, it's not a link. You got to put in the whole HTTP thing to make it a link to wherever you're trying to send people to. I always recommend linking to your social media, linking to your website, linking to other places where you can use them to kind of reinforce your content. I mentioned piggybacking off of success, which is my second point here, which is just leveraging other successful YouTubers, leveraging other successful videos, use those to either do response video or do something similar, or do something where you mention their name. You can leverage, you can be successful off that. The other thing that I found that's really, really important is to know your audience. And what I mean by that is another mistake that people make with their YouTube channels is they try to make their channel diverse, like make it a whole bunch of different things. One day I'm talking about guitars, next day I'm talking about comics, next day I'm talking about cars. That is not good for the algorithm. Algorithm hates that. Keep it consistent. You got to know your audience, that your audience is only interested in this about you. Create it. If you want to talk about something else, build a new channel. Be consistent, know your audience, know that this is what they're interested in, and give them content that they like. Don't try to, that's the biggest mistake people try to do. They try to do everything and they get nothing from it. It's better to be consistent with your content. Okay. That makes YouTube really happy. It makes your audience really happy because they're subscribed to you for a reason. They subscribe to you based on the content that they found. I'm kind of running out of time, so I'm speeding up here. So quickly, how do you generate income from videos and from YouTube? I mentioned that you get a certain number of views. The math on it, I'm all about math, is for every view you get, you make 1 cent. So if you get 100 views on your videos, if this is once you're monetized, by the way, once you get that 1,000 subscribers and 2,000 watch hours, then you're monetized. You make 1 penny per view. So if you get like 1,000 views, you made $10. Okay, not big money. That is not how you make money off YouTube. The way most people make money off of YouTube is they sell something or promote something. If you're doing travel, you're talking about different places to go, then you say, hey, look, if you need help, organizing your vacation, come to my website. Come to my website. That's how you make money from YouTube. You get them on the, show them that you know what you're talking about, then send them to somewhere where they can work with you and build business from it. If you're like Karen and doing books, you show how to make pretty photo books. Then you say, here, if you want me to help you make your next photo book, come to my site. Always guide them to where you can make money from it. And you do it in such a way that it doesn't seem like they're buying from you. It should be as subtle as possible, where you say, look, I'm always willing to help people out. Here's what you do. And then it's so like they're actually wanting to throw money at you instead of you begging for money from them at that point, because they trust you. They want you to want to work with you. So you know, that is where most people make money from YouTube. Is they don't make it from the views, they make it from these other things. Well, also what I found is once my channel hit 1,000 subscribers, I was getting companies wanting to sponsor on my channel, and they would pay me $100 or more per video. So you can make money off that too. I got companies like DC Comics, Hip Comics, all these big companies were actually asking to be sponsored on my video. And sometimes they would send me free merch. Like I got a whole comic book collection from one of these things, where it was like, a $5,000 to $6,000 comic book collection that they gave me for free. That was quite cool. So my point is, there's lots of ways to make money. It's really first thing you got to think about is how to build that audience. I kind of lightly talked about that. There's more that I could talk about. I'll have to do another one of these. I actually have a thing where I teach people how to make a viral video. And there's actually a little plan for that. But I think we're running out of time. So, so I'll just end with the gut questions slide. So yeah, that's a little bit of it in a nutshell. Hopefully that was interesting.
Interesting indeed. Thank you, Alan. Appreciate that. Actually, Amy started earlier by asking some questions in the chat. Say we can
Okay, I
go.
couldn't see.
If we can go back to the chat, we'll try
One
and
sec here, I'll stop
address.
sharing.
Okay, so let's see
There we
if I
go.
can go to the chat.
Okay, now I can see the chat.
You see your
Uh,
question?
yeah, I noticed that my efforts on social media. Okay, so here's the thing that I have to that is different about SEO for Google versus YouTube. So uh, when I do SEO for Google, it's all about trying to get one site to the top of the rankings, and the higher I get them ranked, the better they do, right? Like, the goal is to get that guy right at the top of the rankings, and if I don't achieve that, he doesn't get much traffic. That's it. He doesn't get much business out of it. YouTube's a little different. YouTube is you can actually be within a huge number of people. Like let's say, if you look at the rankings, it's like there's somebody does a search for how to change a light bulb, and your video comes up, but it's not first. It might be 50th. Okay. Strangely enough, even being lowly ranked or mixed in a huge field of like other things to watch, you'll actually get views. And the reason for that is when people watch, they don't watch one video on how to do whatever it is. They watch multiple videos about that same topic. And even when they watch that one video that is at the top of the rankings, your video could be suggested as the next video that they could watch. So it's a little different. Like never be discouraged by the fact that there's other people already doing the same thing. That only means that there's an audience for that topic. It doesn't mean that it's saturated. It just means that there's an audience for it. Actually, the more people that enter it, the more the more demand. It's the weirdest thing. Like usually it's supply and demand, but it seems like there's never enough supply for the demand. There's always there, because people are always wanting to watch more of that content. It's the craziest thing. So um, you don't have to worry about that. So, and generally, I never see my competitors as competitors. I see them as potential resellers, people that can refer me business. So when I see that there's other people doing it, I'm like, I love you guys. I'm going to connect with you. I'm going to make you my friends. And then I engage with those people and we share business. I mean, to me, it's actually a win-win. So, yeah, I don't see that as a bad thing personally.
All right,
Okay.
Alan, let's move on to Karen. Karen has her hand up for a while, and then we'll go to Sarah afterwards.
Yeah, first of all, thank you for this. For me, this was perfect. Um, I am doing everything wrong, so I have a lot of work to do on my YouTube. I never originally I used it as a storage for my videos. I just kind of threw them in there. And then one
Mhm.
day I said, people could be looking at this, I need to fix this up. So I fixed the header and
Mhm.
I made different playlists and so on. But I am doing everything wrong based on what you were saying. I do have some questions, but I'm going to have to ask you at another time because I have to go over everything that you said and come up with all my questions at the same time so I don't drive you crazy. But one
Okay.
of the questions that I have, you were saying about, let me see. Oh, by the way, I belong to another group, and what she always says, she refers to it being in the same lane. And she says, you never know how you can help each other. You may do something that they don't, they may do something that you don't. She
Exactly.
always
Yeah.
talks about that. So, yeah, I agree with that 100%. Um, what did I want to say? I wanted to ask you when you said ah, now I can't find it. Wait.
Well, you were taking lots of notes. That's a good
Oh,
thing.
oh, yeah. But I was writing quickly, so I could barely, I'm writing like a doctor now. Um, uh, if you need help, come to my website, that kind of thing. Where do you put that?
So generally, what I do is when I create my videos, like, or do this for clients more, like my personal thing, it is my personal thing. But what I always recommend is the following. You always end with calls to action.
Yeah.
So for example, like, comment, and subscribe. You always end with your video with that. And check out my links below. That's the last thing you should say. where you also like tell people, hey, there's more stuff below that you might want to check out. Um, because what you'll find is you always want to leave people hungry, where they, oh, there's something more I could get from this. Like even with this presentation, there's more that I could be telling you guys, right? So you want more? Well, click the link in below and you'll learn more. So like basically you're kind of making them excited. Click that link below. Okay. So where they can get more information. Okay. So what you do is you in your description, that's where you put those links where you say, hey, check me out on my social medias. Check me out on my, on my website. There's more stuff you can get from me. Okay. So
Awesome.
Fine.
that's
Call
good.
Thank
to
you.
action.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks.
Let's move on to Sarah.
Hi. So I really wanted to start a YouTube channel. It's not a really, actually, there's some specific questions, but we'll kind of go through them.
Mm-hmm.
But I really wanted to start my own YouTube channel for what I'm like, basically like an academic transitioning from academia to a business field, because I'm
Mm-hmm.
getting a lot of my chemistry friends reaching out to me being like, how did you do this? How did you get there? And I'm having a lot of the same conversations, which
Mm-hmm.
drive me a little bit crazy. But like for me, there's like a fear behind it of like, okay, if I, post all of my process of, starting from the beginning to the end, is this me posting like my epic fail, So that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of like the fear that comes with that. And then also like how do you pick what content to share and like when in your process is the best time to start sharing? That might be a hard question and very specific towards kind of my experience, but yeah.
So so generally, what I try to do is I try to tell stories at the
Okay.
end of the day.
Mm,
Um, And what I try to do is, if you've been doing whatever it is that you've been doing for a long, long time, you're gonna have a lot of stories to tell, right? Um, and so like let's say your A to B was like, several years to do whatever project it was. Well, you don't just give that A to B, right? You break it into chunks, into
mm,
multiple stories that lead people to that process. And then you create like a little series, like,
mm,
how I got from here to here.
mm.
And it's sort of like, as I said, it's kind of like a sitcom, like or like a serial where you kind of build people to that end point and then you go on with a new serial and repeat the process with the next project that you probably did, right? So
Yeah.
so the point is always kind of try to think of how can I break this down into multiple stories and then get to that point. The funny thing is, like when you were talking earlier about the COD stuff and the very kind of geeky but sciencey stuff, right? Um, there's actually a bunch of YouTube channels that have that kind of content that
Yeah.
are super popular, like
Mm.
really, really popular. Like comics are lame, but those things get lots of views. And people love that stuff. They love hearing it from the horse's mouth kind of thing. Like they love hearing it from the scientific perspective,
But it's
but you
also
have to
like,
also make it accessible at the same
yeah.
time. That's why telling stories always works, right?
Yeah, and I don't know how to balance it with like protecting my IP because like I am developing a new technology and that could be
Okay.
very well scooped up by somebody else that have the more funds and way more resources than me to
Yeah,
really
yeah, yeah. Well,
knock
what
it
you
out of the park. So I'm like my brother's been trying to convince me for years to start like a YouTube channel or like a Instagram content creation type thing, just based on stuff we do in the lab. But I'm so I don't know how to protect my IP or like if I kind of put something on the internet that is related to my technology, it might not be patentable then. So
so
it's that kind of
so it's sort of like KFC model is what I would recommend.
okay.
KFC, it's all about the chicken and
Yeah.
great like, oh, this so yummy. And like you show that element of it. You don't
Mhm.
tell what the secret herbs and spices are.
Yeah, but see that's my expertise, right? Like that's the exciting part to me.
But
So
so my point is you always keep that secret sauce to
okay.
yourself. Okay. But you show that KFC thing where it's like looks delicious. You show the excitement, you show it's where you say a lot, but really don't say much.
Yeah, I don't know. It's so
Do you know
hard
what
for
I
me
mean?
because you're trained to
There
like
is there is a
spill all the
balance. I
beans,
know.
you know?
I know. Well, the scientific method is to be shareable, right?
Yeah,
It's not to be, yeah, but you got to find that balance
yeah.
where like the ones that do the best are ones where it takes like a very complicated subject, like organic chemistry. I don't know, as
I'm an
an
organic
example.
chemist.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why I was guessing. So,
Yeah.
okay, so organic chemistry, and you explain in layman's terms what exactly is happening.
Mm,
Okay. Now that is useful to your audience. It's not useful to a competitor.
yeah.
And
See,
the reason being,
I don't know how to differentiate that.
well, my point is
Yeah.
like you if you dumb it down where it's practical knowledge that you're giving people, but it's not something where like somebody that's a competitor is going to want a higher level. They're going to want a higher level where they can say, okay, well, this is her method. We'll we can replicate that. So what you do is you're really providing something that is useful to an audience, not useful to a competitor.
Mm.
And I know it's hard to find that balance, but there is probably somewhere a balance where you can do that.
Yeah, I'll have to pick your brain on it. I'll have to set up a meeting
Yeah,
with
I
you.
mean, we're both in Ottawa, so that's convenient.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, we'll have to grab a coffee.
yeah, yeah.
Awesome, awesome. So let's go on to Cliff.
That's a really excellent presentation, Alan. I really enjoyed that. I have no intention of doing a YouTube channel because I don't have anything to talk about, but I love the whole idea of SEO and all this stuff. It's so interesting. Just a couple of quick practical things. I mean, generally, is there a sort of a recommended length? Because I know sometimes I look at things on YouTube and sometimes they may just seem too long and I don't click on them. Or is there a certain specific length you recommend?
So there's different lengths. So it really depends on what you're trying to achieve. So you'll find that your audience will cater to it will be kind of very similar to yourself at the end of the day. Like I feel like my audience, like I have like almost 6,000 subs with my comic book thing. The people
Mm.
that watch are almost my clones. I'm like, oh my goodness, some of them even have the same birth date. Like they're born on the
Yeah.
same day. Like it's that much. Like, so what I find is what you kind of like to watch. If you like to watch the 10-minute videos or you like to watch the hour-long videos, then your audience will generally kind of gravitate to the same kind of thing.
So it
So
doesn't really matter then.
well, it does matter. So what you'll find is older get demographics will watch longer videos, right? So 35 plus, maybe 40 plus will watch the 30-minute video. They'll love the 30-minute video. I have a friend in the same thing where he does 3 hour long videos and people watch it. They'll just put it in the background. They'll just let it play. So there are people that like watching the longer form content and they're usually older. If you get those, like for business, those are your perfect audience. I'd rather have 10 people watch a 30-minute video than 100,000 watch a 30-second clip. Because I know that if those 10 people watched that longer format, that they're truly interested in what I'm talking about. So you kind of pick your battle. You say, well, my goal is to create an audience that is totally interested in this topic, totally interested in what I'm about to offer them. Okay? The longer that they watch your video, the more that you know that they're committed to you. So there is, and there's ways to use the short stuff. Don't get me wrong, but you got to pick your battles and know where you want to go with it. Okay, and there's different strategies for whatever you want to achieve.
Mm.
I recommend as a sweet spot 11 minutes, and the reason 11 minutes is once you're monetized, what happens is you'll get instead of one ad play at 11 minutes, you get two ad plays. You double your revenue. It's
Oh,
just so at 11 it's a thing that they only show one ad if it's 10 minutes and if it's 11 minutes get an extra ad.
That's very
Double
interesting
zero.
because my hobby is wildlife photography. So that's
Okay.
what I do a lot of. So a lot of photographers I follow all over the globe, and some really great ones on YouTube, but a lot of it's on the technical stuff. And often they are, I guess I look at them and think, well, 10 minutes, that's about right. So they probably,
Mhm.
I look at that now, they probably are like 11 or 12 minutes
Yeah, yeah.
because they're
It's just
full-time photographers.
it's an algorithmic thing. They're just trying to
Yeah,
get that extra little ad play.
yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's very smart. All right, so repeat. Let's look for more questions. And Sarah, if you have more, Karen, if you have more, you can also chime in here. Um, Nima, any questions from you?
Hi there. I joined a little bit late, so I missed a little bit of it. But I was gonna ask. Actually, I had one question around like the sort of the topic that you mentioned, because I started a channel around like one topic, which was primarily like product design related.
Okay.
But now I'm sort of shifting towards like building products myself, and now I'm kind of resonating more with like the audience of like, product builders and maybe even developers or entrepreneurs. So I was
Mhm.
wondering like for something like that, like since I already got to a certain like subscription count, like should I actually make a new channel to do that or just kind of shift into b building a product because the two are very like related,
As
right?
long as it's like really connected like that, and you don't get too much like one thing is I always recommend having your comments on. And when you make that shift, your audience, if you have a really established audience, they will tell you. They will they will either complain or they will say that we love the new content. And another thing you can do and like is you can use two methods. One is you can actually do a video where you describe that you are making that shift and then you can say, "Hey, what do you think?" Put it in the comments below. That gets engagement, which is always good. But also another method is you could also just do a poll, like YouTube polls, where you say, "Hey, do you like content about this, or do you like content about this? Which would you prefer, or would you like a mix?" And you ask them. The funny thing is when you do those kind of experiments where you kind of ask your audience what they like, they actually appreciate you for it, and they're more likely to engage with you in the future. So I try to ask those things all the time. Another thing when you're making videos, always ask questions to your audience. Like one of the big mistakes people do is they do a really great presentation, but they never ask their audience a question. You'll notice even when I did this little presentation, I asked like two or three questions throughout it to you guys. And that what that does is it for YouTube, it's really, really important because you're engaging that audience. So as I said, when you're doing that shift, ask them. Say, hey, I'm becoming interested in this. How about you guys? Are you also interested in this entrepreneurial side of product development, product design? And they'll
Mhm.
they'll love you for it.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right,
Well,
awesome.
So I
Let's
guess
get
that's why you see people say, ask a question, how many this, that, the other, put your answer in the comments. They may comment just yes or no or one, two, three, four, because that wouldn't,
mhm.
that's user
It's
engagement. I
all
guess
about
that,
engagement.
yeah.
Engagement affects the algorithm too, right? The more comments you have, the
Mhm.
more likes you have, um, you can get more views.
Mhm.
Generally, what I'll do is within the first few hours of a video being launched, I always will give a thumbs up to the people that commented, and I will respond to their comments. Okay, so there's that engagement with me.
Mhm.
Um, And what it does is all those thumbs up that I'm giving and all of my comments act in the YouTube algorithm that, oh, look, there's all these comments happening. Like I'm basically doubling the number of comments by commenting
On
on
their
other
comments.
people's comments.
Yeah.
So that level of engagement means that it's going to share the video to more people.
Mhm.
Okay.
All right, let's get Karen back in there.
I told you this is going to come to me slowly. Um, so I have so many niches,
Mhm.
and because my books really, I'm not supposed to say this, but they're really for everybody.
Mhm.
Everybody, even a CEO, has a vacation, has a mother who's having a 90th birthday, that kind of thing. So I have a lot of niches. Do I have different channels for the different
No.
niches? I mean,
So
that
you
doesn't
have an
sound
overall theme, I would imagine. It's with your product, it's really telling other people's stories, right? Allowing people to tell their stories.
through their
And
photos. Yeah.
yeah, through photos, right? So what you
Yeah.
do is you engage your audience that way. You show them the storytelling process. You show them this is what I did for this specific case. It's still all the same stuff, but it's different, it's just like SEO. Like whenever I talk about SEO, it's all the same fundamentals. It doesn't matter if I'm optimizing for a dentist or a roofer or like a podiatrist or whatever. The fundamentals are all the same. It's just the words are different. Well, you're the same way. It's how do you tell a story through photos? How do you create a book? And you guide them through the process. And the process is probably all the same, but there's anecdotes that you can make for each individual one that you've done. And that makes it interesting for people. That's why I always talk about the sitcom. If you look at any sitcom, it's the same show every time. It just rinses and repeats with a new, environment or new thing. It's just like it's the same thing over and over again. And once you realize that, all you have to do is come up with one idea, not thousands of video ideas. You just come up with one idea and you rinse and repeat. So for you, it's easy. It's like, it's all about how do you create your story through pictures, and you rinse and repeat with all the different clients you've worked on over the years. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. And just to speak to what you said about asking a question, I also do story time with Karen, which is not money, it's not a sales thing or anything. It's my memories basically. For example, the aromas that came out of your grandmother's kitchen were different than the aromas that came out of my grandmother's kitchen, but the nostalgia and the memories are the same. And so people related to it. So I did one based on my first love. And I always end the post with either three dots or a question. And so the first one, so I did my first love, and I don't remember how I ended it, but I ended it. It was open ended, and these two women said, "Oh my God, you're driving me crazy." So what happened next? And so it led me to do my first love part deux, and so I did that, and I did the same type of ending. And so she wrote, well, are you still with him now? I mean, she was just getting like, it was
Yeah,
like a
yeah, yeah,
soap opera.
yeah.
She couldn't wait for the next episode. So
Well,
I
you
know,
just
I know
you
that drama works.
well, you remind me of Charles Dickens. Did you ever read Charles Dickens?
In school.
Yeah, yeah. So if you read Charles Dickens, it's almost as fun as watching paint dry. It's that kind of level where it's very descriptive, very really, really, really boring stuff. And then at the very end, maybe the last page of like some chapter, somebody gets like killed, like or something really random happens that's like, whoa, what just happened there? And you want to like read the next chapter. Well, the reason he did that was he was selling his books through like a magazine. It was like a monthly subscription magazine, and basically he had to make his he had to fill out the word count, right? So he'd make it like all these details, but then in order to keep people reading his serial, he would have to have that little like excitement thing at the end. And that's what basically you've done, where you you have that kind of like, oh, what's the next part of this story? So
Yeah.
uh, I think that's a really good method. I don't say be Charles Dickens, but be better than Charles
No,
Dickens.
yeah, no, I do
But
that all the time with those videos, but it's like when I'm watching something on Netflix or something, and I say, because I'm a night person, so I'll watch till 12, 1 o'clock. And I'll say,
mhm.
okay, this is going to be the last episode that I'm going to watch tonight. I'll watch the rest tomorrow. And then they have a cliffhanger like that. And I'm up till
Yep.
4 in the morning watching, so it
Yeah,
drives me
yeah, yeah.
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's that's what makes YouTube videos successful, is being a good storyteller at the end of the day.
So,
So,
so
Thank you.
Alan, let's do this. I'm going to stop the recording, but can you tell us a way to get a hold of you or give us your contact information so I can put that at the end of the video?
yeah, here I think it was on the screen, but here I'm gonna type it into the.
Say it in the video because the words are coming on the
Oh,
screen.
okay. So you can contact me. You can search my name, Allan Pollett. You'll find me. And if you go to my website, allanpollett.com, you can find me. It's very SEO related. Um, or you can check out my comic book channel, which is Comic Collector Geek. And you can learn all about comics. Or you can reach me by calling 416 That's my phone number. You can call me anytime. I always like hearing from people that watch these videos or watch my presentations, and I'm always trying to help people. So that's it.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. And we appreciate you coming in and give us this presentation. If you can stay for a few minutes, I'm going to stop the video here. Stop.